coordinate, relative coordinate where we are using at. Then let's look at the polar coordinate. In case of the polar coordinate, oh no, I'm starting another AutoCAD, sorry. In case of the polar coordinate, let's say I have let me draw another thing here. Let's say I have this line and this line, and the angle between them is 45 degrees. Let's say this line is 100 and the other line is also 100. So we have two lines at angle 45. Let's assume this one is horizontal. So what I'm going to do now, let me close the second AutoCAD I launched. Sorry for that. Okay, let's go back to our screen. Now, if I start line command, if there's any command active, just press escape button on your keyboard. It's going to cancel anything active. So you refresh your command by pressing escape button on your keyboard. So let's start line command. Now let's click from here. Then I will say at 100,0. So I want to draw the first one, which is 100 horizontally like that. So that's 100,0. I'll press enter. So press enter, I exit that command. So that is that line. So that is line 100. So I use relative coordinate. I pick a point. I'm not using absolute coordinate. I just say at, the command is still up there in the gray area of the command window. I just say at 100,0. Now the other line is 100, but it's at angle 45. Okay, and if it is 45, the angle is given straight forward. Don't forget that in AutoCAD, the angle starts from here, from 3 o'clock, then anti-clockwise like that. So the 45 that I'm giving there is straightforward. So I'm going to start line command again, line, but I'm going to start from here. Then I want to move from 0 at 45. I'm just moving my mouse. I've not typed anything. So I will say at, I will start with at, then the length of the line is 100, then I will say angle. I will use less than symbol. Less than. So I'm going to use, I will say 100 angle 45. So 100 angle 45. Look at where I type it, at 100, that is the length, then angle 45. I press enter. Then press enter again to exit the command. So look at the statement. I will say at whatever the length of the line, you type it, then the angle is less than, then 45 is the value of the angle. So that is polar coordinate. We are going to do an exercise together to consolidate what I've just taught. So that is that. So if I go back to our presentation, I said there are 4 methods of entering points in AutoCAD. We have absolute coordinate, relative coordinate, polar coordinate. I've demonstrated these 3. Then let's look at the 4th one, the direct distance entry. Well, this is very simple, especially if you are not dealing with polar coordinate. If you are dealing with only horizontal or vertical lines, you are not dealing with any line at an angle. So what will happen is this. I'm going back to AutoCAD to show you that, oh, I've mistakenly launched another AutoCAD again. Alright, so if I want to use direct distance entry, for example, let's visit this rectangle which is 100 by 50. I can use direct distance entry. Now, in order to use direct distance entry, there is something you have to do. You have to be sure that your polar tracking is enabled. Make sure it is set on. Then your objects, now I told you as beginner AutoCAD users, you will need to set polar tracking on, object snap on, and object snap tracking. please try to disable every other one. They are disabled when their color is gray, but they are enabled when they are blue. So on my screen now, you can see that only these three are blue. Now, this rectangle that we draw here, you can zoom. I advise you use a scroll wheel on your external mouse. Please, if you don't have an external mouse, go and get one. It's cool to use external mouse in AutoCAD. So if I want to draw this using direct distance entry, I don't have any absolute point, I don't have any relative point, I only know the dimension. I don't want to use relative coordinate method, I want to use direct distance entry. So I'll just start line command, click somewhere here. I want to move horizontally. Immediately the dotted line appears. The dotted line is acting like your T-square, aligning your line horizontally. If it doesn't appear, your line will not be straight. But make sure it appears. Just type the length of the line directly. That is 100. Type it directly. If you let the dotted line appear, just type 100. Look at the command window. I'm typing 100 there and I press enter. So when you press enter, the line will be automatically drawn. Then when you move down here, we are not using any at symbol. This is direct distance. So when you align your line vertically and the dotted line appears, just type the distance, which is 50, and press enter. When you move this direction, just move your mouse, let the dotted line appears in this direction, type 100 again, press enter. Then you can use object snap to finish it up, provided your object snap is enabled. Finish it. You may wonder, why did we go through the problem of relative coordinate? You will need relative coordinate in some instances as you advance in AutoCAD. But direct distance entry is a cool thing. It allows you to draw your lines straight away. So the dotted line must appear. If you don't enable polar tracking, let's try it again. If I click line, you see I'm panning my drawing. Pan is this symbol like hand, the symbol of a hand. When you click on it and you pan your drawing, it's going to move all your drawing from one place to another. So when you are through with panning, you can press escape button. Now let me refresh my command by pressing escape. I start line command again. I click here. I want to align my line, but the dotted line is not appearing because I've disabled polar tracking. I've disabled it. So you need that polar tracking. Let me enable it now. You need it. It's going to make the dotted line to appear, to track your line. That's the essence. And that line is at angle 0. So you enter 100, press enter. That's direct distance entry. You orient your line in this direction. Press 50, type 50, press enter. In this direction, 100, press enter. Then you type C and close. Or you click here to close. Now that is direct distance entry method. But what if I want to draw a line like this at an angle, maybe a parallelogram? See, since I don't have a particular angle, it's not straight properly. So let's say we have something like this. We have something like this. Like this. And the angle here is, let's make it 60. Let's make it 60 degrees. And here we have a 50. Sorry for that. Here we have 100. All right. The vertical line is 100. The horizontal line is 50. So let's go back to AutoCAD. And I want to use polar tracking. But the problem is this: if I start line command, can I get a line at angle 60? No. The best I can get is to move at angle 90. Look at that box showing. To move at angle 0, look at it there. To move at 270 and to move at 180. If I want to move at 60, I will right click this polar tracking and click on settings. Right click polar tracking, click on settings. Then click on new. Under polar tracking here, click on new. and set angle 60 and press enter. Say OK. So let me delete this rectangle. Okay, if I start line command, I click here, you can see that my polar tracking is aligning my line at angle 60 because I have already set 60. So for polar tracking, you can set an angle so that your line can be guided like a set square, like set square does when you are using when you are using drawing board. So my line is being oriented at angle 60. It said polar, the length of the line is shown there at angle 60 degree. So what I simply, let me escape and repeat it again. What I simply did was I went to polar tracking in the drafting setting tools. I right click, then I click on settings, then I try to create new angle. Let me create 45 and say OK now. So if I click line command and I click clear, you can see I can get line at angle 45 and also get at 60. You can see they are close to each other. This 60, this 45. Alright, let's draw this parallelogram. Let's draw that parallelogram. If I come here, I click line command, start here, I move at 60. I'll just type the length. That's 100. That's direct distance. That's direct distance. So I move here, I type 50. Then, the problem I may have here, I may have to escape because if I want to draw this line, I may have to set the angle 300. So this one will be at angle 300. Don't forget AutoCAD measures angle like this, like anti-clockwise. So if I want to draw in this direction, that will be 300 and I have not set it. So I can quickly do that. Come here, go to settings, add new, type 300, say OK. Then if I do that, I think unfortunately that's 300 there. What would be this angle? We may need to calculate that. If this is 0, this is 90, this is 180. Okay. That would definitely not be 300. I think it's going to be somehow 210. Sorry. Let's do this. Let's say 210. Okay. Does it appear? Alright, let's escape. Let's make it simple. Don't let us make life difficult. Just come here, draw this one, use object snap, then draw this one at 50, type 50, enter. Then your 60 appears again, then close this. So the point I'm making here is you can use polar tracking to draw a line at any angle that you want. By default, if I right click, there are some angles that are already there by default, 45, 30, 22.5. So if you enable them, they can work. But the best thing is to come to settings and add your own angle. So you can add your own angle, say OK there. Alright, so that is about this point entry methods in AutoCAD, or what we call distance entry method. So we have absolute, relative, polar, and direct distance entry. So in the absolute coordinate, I've tried to explain that. The relative coordinate we use at x, y. In the polar, we use at the distance of the line, then angle, then the value of the angle, which is letter A, for example, at 10 angle 90 degrees. You've already seen that. Then direct distance entry is a way of bypassing the usual ways of entering in the coordinate, and you just enter the distance. So direct distance entry will save you some headache if you still have problem with coordinate. The method is quite easy, but you have to set either auto or polar tracking on and manually enter the points. So that is what we are saying there. Okay, I think I'm going to stop right here. In the next video, I'm going to take you through basic commands in AutoCAD. So far, I've shown you some important things in AutoCAD that you need to know. We started from started from the explanation of the coordinate system, and I tried to explain the world coordinate system, and I tried to explain the absolute and the relative coordinate. Then I tried to explain the polar coordinate, how we measure angle in AutoCAD. Then summarize 4 methods of entry points in AutoCAD. So I try to explain each one of them. In the next class, I'm going to introduce you to basic AutoCAD commands. I want to thank you for listening so far. Thank you.